The instant I heard the scream from my back pasture, I realized Patricia Harrington had officially crossed a line. Out my kitchen window, I spotted a woman in an expensive gown scrambling up my fence while my Great Pyrenees Duke sat wagging his tail like it was the funniest show he'd seen in months. Behind her, nearly 50 wedding guests were scattered across my land like confetti after a parade. And right in the center of it stood Patricia herself, clipboard in hand, barking orders like she owned the property. Let me rewind. I am Tom Sullivan, and I've owned my 10-acre ranch on the edge of Metfield Heights for 15 years. When I bought it, the place offered quiet country life with enough space for 3 working dogs and a small cattle herd. But 5 years back, developers moved in, threw up cookie-cutter McMansions, and suddenly I was trapped in an HOA I never agreed to. That's when Patricia Harrington appeared self-declared monarch of the Medfield Heights Homeowners Association. She made it her mission to shape our semi-rural neighborhood into her picture of suburban order. She measured lawns with a ruler. She tracked trash can pickup times. She even fined my neighbor $200 for having the wrong shade of black on his mailbox. Patricia lived 3 houses down in a showpiece home that belonged on a magazine cover. Everything about her screamed control freak, from her perfectly highlighted hair to the color-coded planner she dragged everywhere. She worked as a regional manager for some corporate consulting firm and treated the HOA like her private empire. Trouble really began 3 months back when her daughter announced an engagement. Instantly, Patricia shifted gears from neighborhood tyrant to wedding coordinator supreme. She posted daily on Facebook about her dream for the most Instagram-worthy wedding Medfield Heights would ever see. That's when my property caught her eye. My land sits at the edge where suburbia meets real countryside. I've got a red barn, wide rolling pasture, and mountain views any realtor would die for. Patricia began dropping hints that my ranch would be perfect for wedding photos. I turned her down politely. My land is a working ranch, not a venue. I have 3 herding dogs who take their roles seriously. Duke, the giant Pyrenees, guards my stock. Molly, my border collie, could herd clouds if asked. Tank, my Australian cattle dog, has no patience for strangers or nonsense. Patricia didn't like refusal. She started leaving passive-aggressive letters about property values and being neighborly. She lodged noise complaints against my dogs, though they bark only for good reason. She even tried pushing a rule to limit livestock numbers, directly targeting my herd. 2 weeks before the wedding, things escalated. I caught her future son-in-law measuring my barn. When I confronted him, he claimed Patricia said I'd approved it. I corrected him quickly and assumed that ended it. But the Thursday before the wedding, I discovered tire tracks through my pasture. Someone drove in, spun donuts in my hayfield, and left beer cans everywhere. Footage showed a car full of groomsmen at a laughing. I reported it. Officer Janet Ramirez took my statement and promised to talk to Patricia. Clearly, it didn't sink in. On Saturday morning, wedding day, my gate wasn't just open, it was off its hinges, leaning against the fence. A sign staked in the field read, "Harrington Wedding Overflow Parking." Coffee in hand, I stepped out to see 3 catering vans already parked on my grass. The drivers swore Patricia had approved it. As I argued, more cars kept streaming in. Within an hour, 30 vehicles dotted my property and guests wandered around posing for selfies by the barn. I rang Patricia. She answered breathless, claiming she was busy getting the bride ready. When I told her to clear everyone out, she laughed. Actually laughed. Said I was dramatic and should feel honored. I hung up and called police. Ramirez said she'd come, but a highway pileup delayed all units. I had to wait. Then came the uproar out back. Some genius groomsman was trying to pose with my bull, Ferdinand. Ferdinand's gentle, but he dislikes strangers. The man's buddies filmed it for social media, laughing. Enough was enough. I whistled sharply 3 times. That's my dog's signal for work. Duke trotted from the barn. Molly shot out like lightning. Tank appeared with a look that meant business. I gestured at the trespassing crowd pouring in from the country club next door. Patricia had booked it, but decided my ranch made a better backdrop. Move them out, I ordered. Duke handled the catering crew, blocking vans with his massive frame and herding them backward with calm authority. A single deep bark silenced protests. Molly took the bulk of the guests, circling fast, pressing them tighter together and steering them toward the boundary. Tank went for the groomsmen, growling low at the full with Ferdinand until they all backed away like suspects surrendering. Then Patricia appeared, face blazing red. She stormed across my yard, shrieking about lawsuits, demanding I call off my dogs. I sipped coffee, replied they were just guarding my property. She dialed 911, screaming about vicious animals and claiming authority as HOA president. But Officer Ramirez had just pulled up. She'd patrolled here for a decade, knew every property line, and knew the law. She saw my dogs calmly herding and shook her head. Patricia rushed her, ranting about attacks. Ramirez stopped her cold, demanding the event permit. Patricia's face drained. She'd told the club 50 guests. At least 200 swarmed my land. No city permit, no HOA approval, no rights whatsoever. Ramirez began writing citations trespassing, unpermitted event, property damage, and littering. Backup was called to clear the mess. The bride appeared in a muddy dress, makeup streaked, screaming at her mother for wrecking her day. The groom tried bribing me with $500 for photos. I refused. More police arrived, escorting everyone out. Ramirez told Patricia she faced criminal charges, while I could sue for damages. Duke even ruined every photo attempt by blocking the barn shots on purpose. Molly funneled guests back to the club. Tank sat beside me, watchful, proud. By sunset, my property was clear. Neighbors later said the reception was joyless. Bride crying, guests leaving. Patricia's husband looked ashamed. On Monday, I filed a civil lawsuit. My lawyer, David Brennan, was ecstatic. We had footage and reports: trespassing, vandalism, emotional distress, theft of services. Damages topped $50,000. Patricia fought with a big city attorney who argued HOA authority. The judge nearly laughed him out. My ranch wasn't common space and she had zero rights. The criminal case proved worse. The DA charged her with trespass, vandalism, and unpermitted event organization. The groomsmen faced their own charges. Local news ran it. HOA president hijacks ranch for daughter's wedding. Security footage of my dogs went viral. Duke became an internet star nicknamed Wedding Crasher Shepherd. The HOA held an emergency meeting, finally ousting Patricia unanimously. Her employer also suspended her. A mugshot wasn't good PR. 3 months later, in court, she tried for settlement. I refused. I wanted it public. The judge ruled entirely in my favor: $35,000 damages plus my legal fees, 200 hours community service, 3 years probation. As the verdict was read aloud, Patricia's polished mask broke. She sobbed in court, muttering it was supposed to be perfect, while her lawyer sat helpless beside her.